we are. Double check we're recording. I forgot to press record yesterday. Cool, we are. Right. Thanks. In fact, let's get my face open so you can see my messy face. So, yeah, excuse the background, by the way. We're moving house in a week and a bit. So the house is a tip and my office is now, well, it's now the loft just for the time being. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a proper office back. So I'm going to get rid of my face. You don't need my face. Share the screen again. And let's crack on. I will have a one-strike policy. Every time I've done these public live streams, it's always hijacked at some point by people drawing massive willies and annotating all over my screen. So I can actually see, I've finally figured out how to see who's annotating. So if you're offensive, it's just a one boot. Actually, no strike rule. You're just going to get booted. So, right, let's crack on. Today, this is going to be a high-level overview of cryptos in 2020. I know there's a lot of people that got sort of sucked or attracted into cryptos in 2017 during the hype cycle. And everything has changed. So before we go any further, I do want to highlight a few things. So here, if you go to YouTube and type Siam Kid, you'll find my channel, and there's all sorts of videos here. Now, if you go to playlists, in fact, it looks different for me, but in my channel there's a playlist, and it's called Free Crypto Basics Video Course. So what I've done here is I've put 50 plus videos, I've stopped naming them, probably 50, 60 odd videos, all about crypto, as in literally what you need to do for free. So it literally starts off with the basics, you know, what is an exchange and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go too in depth with them because I mean the videos are here and I don't want to waste your time, and this, I really want to keep this under 90 minutes. Otherwise, if we go into each little bit, you know, it's going to be 10 hours. So there's all of this to fall back on. Also at the end, it's also worth watching these two videos. I will touch on this slightly, but it's basically why I think Bitcoin can easily surpass 50k, $50,000 per Bitcoin. So definitely watch them. So that is that, and let's crack on. So I guess the main questions I get all of the time on Facebook, emails, etc. are these. So oh hey Habib, I just seen you here. Ah, sweet, we've got Josh and Habib here today, so that's good. They know their stuff as well. Yeah, so basically let's get my pen out. These are the main questions, and if you don't want to wait around for an hour or 90 minutes to get the full questions, I'm just going to really quickly breeze through very quick answers. And by the way, everything is Siam opinion hat on. I can't draw for shit, but that's my opinion hat. So why invest in cryptos? Basically, because there's so many reasons, but effectively it's a hedge against uncertainty. With global, the world economy is crumbling to bits, and what governments always do is print their way into oblivion, and that way, I mean, there are certain cryptos where you cannot print anymore. So at the end of the day, it's an option, it's a call option, or an insurance policy in other words. And think of it like a binary outcome. You're going to put some money into it, and it's either going to go to zero, or you're going to end up a millionaire, or six figures, etc. So yeah, think of it like that. You shouldn't go all in on crypto. You should have a small percentage. So what I would recommend for most people is to have anywhere between 1 to 10% of your liquid net worth. Okay, that is what you should do. And what I do is slightly different. So, but that is, I think, safe. And I mean, nothing hurts putting at least 1% into something. So what to get? I would recommend just to get Ether and Bitcoin for the moment. So the ticker is ETH and BTC. Just stick with those two for the moment. In a nutshell, we'll talk about portfolios in a bit. What to avoid? Anything MLM or ICOs. I just stay well away from them. So multi-level marketing or network marketing companies, basically they're just middlemen. We'll talk about that later. Where to get it? I would do an online exchange, so whether it's Binance, Coinbase, Kraken. I personally use Kraken. Now, all these main ones, they're not exactly the cheapest in terms of fees, but I don't really worry because I'm not trading crypto. I invest in crypto. But yeah, Kraken is what I use. Where to store it? I would do a cold wallet, and we'll talk about that later. Well, actually, I prefer a paper wallet. And we'll touch on that later. And how and when to sell it. So what I would do in terms of how, this bit, I would literally sell it back to the platform. So one of these. So if you use Binance, Coinbase, or one of these, simply send the crypto back to them and then just sell. So online exchange, let's just call it. And when to sell, that is interesting. So that is a much deeper topic. Yeah, much deeper. I think what you should do is have a goal. So whatever you want with crypto, it's a bit like selling a business. What I recommend when people are getting ready or setting up a business to then eventually sell, is that on day one you need to write down on a blank check of a price that you'd be happy to accept it. As in, like, if you're planning to sell your business in the future, write £10 million on a check, and then when you can, or when the business is worth selling it for that amount, and there is an offer on the table, you've got to take it. Because throughout my life, and lots of my friends have experienced the same thing, is that when the horns of greed come out, that tends to scupper you. Put it this way, in 2017 I opened up a live $25,000 crypto account, and even though most cryptos went up by about 800%, 1,000% and whatnot, I actually traded that up 4,000% roughly, and I peaked, that $25,000 account peaked at $1.1 million. So, and I guess I was somewhat affected by the horns of greed there, because I just held on a little bit too late. So effectively, I effectively got into Bitcoin around, or I was trading lots of different things. But if you're just looking at Bitcoin, I got in around sort of, I think it was 800, I can't remember. It then peaked at about 19,600. And then I effectively got out between 30 or 11.5 to 13k. So obviously I've forgotten how to draw and write, but yeah. So I did take a bit of a bit of a tumble, but and later on we'll be a bit more precise about the when question, because that is a big topic. So in a quick nutshell, they are the very quick answers. So let's go into a bit more depth now, and let's find my little rainbow arrow. And let's talk about the first section. So why you need at least some of the crypto. So let's talk about macro basics. So you have to understand that the whole world, in fact, this is mandatory viewing, by the way. If you go back to my YouTube channel, absolute mandatory viewing is Macrometrics video 1. Okay, this, in my opinion, I mean, it's had bugger all views, only 1,100 odd views. This is probably the most important video I've ever made when it talking about economics, etc. Like, the things in here you absolutely need to know if you're going to be playing around with crypto. So definitely watch that. But long story short, and we are going to be in a world where currency supply, as in pounds, dollars, rupees, yen, whatever, are going to continue doing this, right? Debt levels, global debt levels, are going to continue doing this. And for shits and giggles, if you're ever bored, just type in US debt clock, and then you can have a little laugh at the US. But if you go to the world debt clocks, we're all in the same boat. So look at this. National debt in every country is skyrocketing. GDP is crashing in pretty much every country on the planet, and look at all the debt ratios. So the US is about 100, almost 100% public debt to GDP ratio, and yeah, there's a difference between public debt and external debt. I mean, if you look at Ireland is like 1,021% external debt to GDP ratio. They've basically gone to Wonga.com and got absolutely reamed. But yeah, so the loads of yeah, we're all in the same boat. So sorry, Wonga.com, I meant other dodgy lending facilities out there, not just you. So yeah, so basically this is currency supply. So currency supply, well, let's just call it M2, and then there's debt. So we're going to be in a world of basically shit for a number of years now. COVID or no COVID, this was going to happen. COVID was just a trigger, and it's just exacerbated it a bit faster. So when we're living in this sort of world, going back to the basics, what you absolutely need to do is you need to harbour your wealth. So you need to put your money or your dollars or whatever into non-inflationary or deflationary assets. Now, that's a pretty vague term, so I need to talk about this a little bit more. So when I say non-inflationary or deflationary assets, what I mean is by the supply. Okay, so for example, if you were to look at gold on its own, gold supplies grow roughly 1.8 to 2% per year. Okay, so if you're going to look at gold, in fact, let's move sideways instead of down. So gold supplies go up, you know, it's very, if you were to look at the supply, it's very gradual like that, and it's in line with global population growth as well. So they're very tied in, and that's one of the reasons gold has maintained a very relative, you know, a pretty consistent value over time. However, if you look at stocks, like any stock or any company could literally just split their stock or increase stock whenever they want. Okay, so in terms of supply, I would say stocks are an inflationary asset. Same with bonds, same as, you know, lots of other things. So in a world of currency growth, you absolutely need to harbour your wealth in non-inflationary or deflationary assets. Now, if you look at gold, because a lot of it is hoarded up by governments, banks, and billionaires, and lots of exchanges, and some of it is consumed but very little, it's actually somewhat of a deflationary asset in terms of supply, as in circulating supply. And again, when you look at Bitcoin, so we're here for cryptos. Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and the 21st millionth Bitcoin, if that's the right word, will be mined in the year 2140. So it's a long time away. And pretty much 90% of the Bitcoin supply is out there. So if you look at how Bitcoin is distributed, a lot of it was dished out in the early days, and we're like here. So we've like 90%, at least 90. Well, what is it now? It's like, you can always check. This is always, if you're new, it's always worth having a little look at coin market cap every now and then. So look at that. Right now, technically, there's 18.4 million, so just 18.4 divided by 21. Yeah, so we've got roughly 87.6-ish% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be there. It's already out there. However, in fact, I'll talk about this later. Even though that's technically out there, that's not circulating. It's closer to 10, maybe 12 million Bitcoin actually circulating. So what this means is that if you were to compare the Bitcoin supply, as in supply, compared to currency growth, I mean currencies, as in, you know, the pound or the dollar, is doing this. So what this means is that Bitcoin is actually a deflationary asset in terms of supply compared to the environment. And so what this means is that if there are more pounds sloshing around in the system, or more dollars sloshing around the system, but a finite supply of Bitcoin, it has to mean that the price will go up. This is just simple economics, simple demand and supply. So hopefully that bit makes sense. And as I said, it's a call option against uncertainty. So yeah. Tom Brailsford, I know I do genuinely mean the year 2140. 2140 is when the last Bitcoin will be minted. Or mined, sorry, not minted. So, yeah. Right, so that's that. You got that in the back of your head. Now let's look at the 1% of 1%, plus the market caps. So, if you... First of all, you need to understand the landscape of the world markets. So if we were to look at the coin market cap again, and you'll see over here the market cap. So what this effectively means is this is the total amount of money sloshing around in crypto. It's not quite, but let's just use it for shits and giggles. It's $269 billion. So let's just call it 0.27. So if you look at crypto, we have a 0.27 trillion, whoops, I've drawn 7 weirdly, dollar market cap. Tiny, tiny, tiny market. If you look at gold, gold is closing in on a $10 trillion market cap right now. Obviously this chart will not be to scale. Over here, you then have the global stock market, and that's about an $80 trillion market, probably a bit less now since what's happened. The global bond market is 100. Oh, that's actually ballooned slightly. So we're probably nearing on $120 billion, trillion dollars. So it's $120 trillion market cap. And the currency exchange, as in the global currency market, so the foreign exchange market, is a $1.5 quadrillion market now. It's gone up slightly. It's been 1.4 quadrillion for a long time, but yeah. So these, obviously, if you were to draw 1.5 quadrillion against this, I mean, this bar will be like going up and up and up and up. So this is absolutely tiny. So there's lots of movement there's lots of scope for cryptos to grow. Okay, it's absolutely tiny. So one theory of why you need to get into this is that when stocks properly crumble, and we haven't capitulated yet. All it takes is, just a couple of trillion to spill over from stocks into crypto, or a couple of trillion from bonds into crypto, and that will do a remarkable uplift to all of our stash, so to speak. Put it this way: my $25,000 account, I entered, I think it was around $400 billion market cap when I opened that public account. And then by the time it hit 1.1 million, which is the peak of that, the global market cap was only $800 billion. So we didn't even hit $1 trillion market cap, yet I managed to grow my account by that. I mean, even if you just bought Bitcoin at the worst time, back in 2017, early 2017, and sat on it, and then you went from 400 billion to $800 billion market cap, you still would have had a ridiculous ROI growth. And this will happen, by the way, when equities and bonds start to crumble even more. People will go, oh, screw it, let's just put some money into Bitcoin as a punt. Okay, and a lot of people will look at crypto as a punt, and that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. Now let's look at the 1% of the 1%. So again, in that other video I mentioned, I covered it in more depth there. But long story short, if you look at basically anyone that's worth more than £1 million upwards, as in private individuals, etc., there's roughly $260 trillion worth of wealth in the top 1% of the world, which is nuts. The total wealth is something like $350 trillion. It's absolutely obscene. So I'm looking at my right screen. I see a person called Matt Stevens. Hello, Matt. So I don't know anything about your personal finances at all, but on a night out, let's say you're going out with the lads or your friends, how much would you spend on a night out? Ballpark.
Okay. Up to £100, I would imagine.
Up to 100 quid, yeah. Okay.
It doesn't happen that often anymore.
Yeah, I know. As you can see, I basically just lost all respect for my personal appearance these days. So, yeah, so $100, so 100 quid, and I think that's pretty normal. Most people will probably end up spending, between £50 to £100. Now, if you look at the average person's salary, let's just say the average person probably takes home 1,500 quid a month, let's say, and then after outgoings, let's say they haven't got that much outgoings. I'm being really, really generous here. Let's say the outgoings are £1,000 a month, and they're left with 500 quid a month cash flow. Okay. Now, I think that's pretty generous. I know loads of people on 1,500 quid a month, and they don't have 500 quid spare at the end of the month. But let's just say, they're pretty frugal. Well, if they have a night out and they're spending 100 quid on a night out, that's 20% of their liquid. I guess that's of their monthly cash flow. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we mere mortals, us plebs, us sort of plebeians, we regularly spend relatively high percentages of our net worth on stuff, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a car finance, whether it's going out, whether it's whatever. And so if I ask Matt, hey, could you spare 1% of your liquid net worth on something, I'm pretty sure he could. Now, so this is the key thing, liquid net worth. And that's what always gets mixed up. So when you look at someone like Jeff Bezos, right, and his net worth is something like $160 billion or something like that, and that's post-divorce, by the way. That's not liquid. That is not liquid at all. That is all in stock. Okay, so again, there's another video that most billionaires don't actually have that much money relative to their wealth. But let's just take average person, that sort of income, etc. They've probably, I don't know, ballpark, let's say they've probably got £5,000 of savings in the account. Well, what is 100? Divide that by 5, or no, in fact, let's just put 1% of 5 grand is 50 quid. There we go. So we would be happy to put 50 quid, let's say, as a punt. We wouldn't even think about that, and we'd probably forget about it. So here's my long convoluted example here. Let's just take $260 trillion, and what is the 1% of that? 1% of that is $2.6 trillion. Okay, now we haven't quite finished there, because this number is a lie. This $269 billion number, it's misleading. In crypto, there is a multiplier, which not many people talk about. And this multiplier, at one point it was 20, but we have to be conservative. Let's just say it's between 10 to 20x. Okay. So what this effectively means is that, let's be really generous, okay? Let's just be pessimistic as we can be. So what we actually need to do is do 269 billion, divide that by 10. So it's $26.9 billion. So what this actually means is that there's actually only roughly $27 billion of actual hard cash in the crypto market, but it's been ballooned up. So an easy way to sort of get your head around this is, imagine someone that bought one Bitcoin for $100, back in the day, and that Bitcoin is now sitting at, I don't know, $9,000. Where has that extra 8,900 odd dollars worth of value come from? Obviously, he or she hasn't put it in there, and it's because it's because the way that capital flows into cryptos, and also that there are now derivatives, so you can do options trading, futures trading in the crypto market, and that expands everything. So if you want to be very pessimistic, just use the 10x mark. So what this means is that if $2.6 trillion of actual hard cash flows into Bitcoin because the 1% of the 1% of the 1% decides to have a little punt, like a night out on Bitcoin or cryptos in general, that $2.6 trillion will actually turn itself into $26 trillion market cap, which is insane. It's absolutely insane. And so if you ever want to work out how to calculate a future price in something, I call it more patience Kryptonian, so more patience Kryptonians. So if and by the way, Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin is roughly 50% of the crypto market cap. So there's a stupid term called dominance here. Dominance is such a silly word. It's actually market share. So what this is effectively saying is that the Bitcoin market share at the moment is 64% of the whole crypto market. Obviously, we've seen it's been 90, 80 odd percent. And then during the alt boom in 2017, it got as low as sort of, what was it, 32%? But let's just say it's 50%. Okay, let's say it goes down a bit when Ether and all that sort of start to move. So what this means is, if the crypto market cap explodes and we now have $26 trillion, let's say there's $13 trillion that go just into Bitcoin. Okay, now we have to look at circulating supply. So okay, in real terms, there's probably about, as I said, 10 to 12 million Bitcoin in circulation, as in real circulation. So if you have to do the calculation, I'm just going to get my calculator out here. So I need to type in 13 trillion. 13, what is that? That's 13 billion. I need a few more zeros. 13 trillion. Divide that by, let's say, 12 million. That puts Bitcoin at just over $1 million per Bitcoin. Now, that sounds outlandish. Now let's redo that calculation and let's just take this figure here. Come on, where it says there's roughly 18.4. Let's call it 19 million in circulation. Okay, well, you're now looking at Bitcoin at $684,000 per Bitcoin. It's nuts. And when you play around with these calculations, you end up with silly numbers. So yeah, silly numbers. And so this is why I'm being really, really pessimistic when I say I'm personally not surprised if we will see Bitcoin sail past 50, maybe probably top at 100, maybe in the short term. And when I say short term, over the next 3 to 5 years. But by the way that Bitcoin works is that you will always see 90% drawdowns. So I'm fully expecting to see, 80, like at least an 80% crash. Let's say it does get to $100,000. I'm expecting it to get back to 20, for sure. Like I've seen Bitcoin go from $1,000 back down to $50 or whatnot, and it happens all of the time. So it's extremely volatile. So that's why you shouldn't put all your net worth into it. So that's the 1% of the 1%. So I've sort of gone off on one there. Hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, as I said, it's a hedge against uncertainty. It's like, right, if you can put 5-10 grand in, expect it to go to 0 or £1,000, or it could go to 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever whatever. But personally, I'm not going to sell mine. But again, we'll talk about that later. So, do we have any questions just on this section for the moment? So I'm looking at the chat box. Devinder, Siam, you mentioned Tether in the past, massive printing, and now new investigations. What are the consequences? Okay, that I'm going to have to come back to that, by the way. Yeah. Oh, by the way, talking about how ridiculous this number is, $269 trillion. Sorry, $billion. I want to show you something. You just reminded me, Devinder, of something. So if we just type in, get Bitcoin up on the chart, and then we then overlay the Tether. So by the way, for those who are not familiar, Tether is a pseudo stablecoin or pseudo current crypto. So it's basically there's an exchange called Bitfinex, and they control Tether. this is what they call a stablecoin, and one Tether is supposed to equal $1, right? But here's the thing, Bitfinex can pluck out as many Tether out of their arse as they wish, whenever they wish, and just pump it into the markets. And it's supposedly fully backed. But look at this. So they've printed, like in just this round, this blue line here, it shows that the Tether market cap went from $6.38 billion to $8.81 billion. And then recently we had another one. So just look at this. From the beginning of January, it's gone from, just call it $4 billion up to $9.2 billion. They've printed that out of their arse. So straight away you can yeah. So this is ridiculous. But we'll go back to yours. But so before we move on, any other questions on this section so far? Going in 3. Okay, Dieter, 1% of 1%, top wealthy would put into crypto. Why would they put into Bitcoin? Is there no other crypto with limited supply? Yeah, there are lots and lots of crypto, but all I was saying in this bit is that Bitcoin tends to be at least 50% of the total market cap. So if that money did flow into the crypto space, half of it will go into Bitcoin. Now the reason why the reason I'm going to focus on Bitcoin a bit more is that Wall Street, when I say Wall Street, I mean the big boys, bankers, billionaires, family offices, all that sort of stuff. They're not going to be dicking about with shitcoins. They're not going to, go to page, it's a bit like a Google search term, like Google search. No one looks at page 3 or page 5 or 2 for that matter. And in terms of market cap, so as in the amount of money sloshing around in each crypto, the Wall Street, they're pretty much only going to focus on the top 10 predominantly. Top 10, maybe top 20. And most of their funds will go to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the only crypto that's been battle tested. It's been running since 2009, 2010-ish, depending on where you say it really. I mean, it only had price discovery in May 2010. So yeah, it's been going for 10 years. It's never been hacked, whereas a lot of other cryptos have been hacked. It's the toughest, strongest, it's the most resilient crypto out there. So a lot of the people will just be going into Bitcoin and Ether. Also, a lot of people call Ethereum or the programmable Bitcoin, and so Wall Street and big corporations are using the Ethereum network to build their own projects, whether it be contact tracing, logistics, ID, banking, all that sort of stuff. So what you will find, and I've been saying this for a long time, and it is starting to happen, most of conventional money, and when I say conventional money, when I'm talking about bonds and stock sort of money, when they flow into crypto, they're going to be going into Bitcoin and Ethereum predominantly. They are definitely not going to be going, right, let's go to some bullshit coin on page 2. And yeah, I mean, some of these, like Thunder token, I just can't see it. Or yeah, anyway. So that is that. Is mirror trading included in MLM? Fanny has asked. It depends what you term mirror trading. And also it depends what type of trading. So for example, if we were to just open up FX, so I'm a currency trader and I use FXCM as my, if I just open this up, I use it for my financial spread betting. Everything I do on FXCM, it doesn't affect the crypto space. So even if I were to place a massive buy or sell order in, it doesn't affect this. So there's lots of different types of trading. There's CFDs, there's options, there's futures, there's all sorts. Is mirror trade? Okay, and also another way to answer your question is that lots of MLMs will try and disguise themselves as, mirror trading. So what they'll probably say, if we go back to, in fact, let's quickly zoom out. I'm gonna quickly zoom over to what should I avoid. It's a pretty definitive list, by the way. MLMs and what is that? Where's the rest of this? Looks like some of my writing has disappeared. let's rectify that. There's supposed to be a C and an I here. So yeah, what may happen is that, let's say the market, this is the crypto market, and here's you as a punter. Found you're a lady. Let's put a skirt on you, so you're not naked like my normal naked stickmen. What a lot of MLMs will do is go, hey, we have this special crypto trading robot, or we have a team of shit hot traders. All you need to do is you need to pay money to us, and we will trade Bitcoin for you, and you will have an account, some sort of online software account, that's them. And what they'll show you is fake numbers. So they'll go, oh yeah, you're up, 10% this week, because they'll tell you stupid stuff like, hey, you'll make 10% per day, etc. And on your online account, it'll go, it'll show you profits. And all they're trying to do is they'll do this for a month or two just to get you happy, and then you'll see the profits, and you'll be like, oh wow, I've made 59% this week. And they'll go, yeah, how about you put more money in? Sorry, I've made you look pretty scary here. Sorry, I can't draw. And then all of a sudden, yeah, so they'll start you off with like $100 investment or whatever, and then they'll try and get. When you're happy, you'll be, okay, screw this, I'm going to put 10 grand in, because at this rate I'm going to be a millionaire. And that's when it's game over. You'll never get that back. And by the way, they're not trading. It's a Ponzi scheme. They're just getting other people to, yeah. And then when some people kick off, they'll take other people's money to pay you back, etc. So, I'm flattered. Thanks. Looking at your picture, you look a lot nicer than my stick woman here. But anyway, let's get back to where we were. Okay, so let's moving on to the next section section, because we've been talking for 36 minutes now. I need to speed up. So, what exactly should you buy? So, in my opinion, again, everything is my opinion hat, I would recommend putting the bulk of your money in Bitcoin and Ether predominantly. If you just want to be, very careful, and you don't really want to think about it, just do that. And you're going to be safe. All the big boys are jumping into Ether and Bitcoin, and you got to ride with the sharks. You got to be those little, pilot fish that swim under a great white. Now, in stocks, there's a term called blue chip stocks. So, a blue chip stock is basically a massive corporation, like Ford, GM, I guess Microsoft, Google, it'll be Alphabet, but all of these sort of stocks, all these massive companies, they're what's called a blue chip company. Now, in crypto, there are also blue chip cryptos. So and when I say blue chip crypto, what I basically mean is anything, from position 1 to 20 in terms of market cap. Okay? So if we go back to coin market cap and go back to page 1. So obviously at the top is Bitcoin, and it's got a market cap of 169 billion. And so I would say, yeah, all of these are like blue chip cryptos, and you see that they've got a lot of money in them. So in fact, probably even a bit lower than, some of these got a fair amount. So probably even anything from sort of position 50 upwards, because even position 50 has $189 billion, and as the global market cap goes up, obviously this will also go up. And there's some good products here. We've got Hedera, Zalika, Augur. We've got there's a lot of good ontology. I like ontology. They all look good apart from this shit show, Tron. Don't dick about with Tron. Yeah. So let's go back to here. Yeah. So it wouldn't hurt. So I may as well talk about this now. Actually, Kryptonian portfolio. So a long time ago, I recommended to everyone to do the Kryptonian portfolio, And the reason being is that no one can read the future. We can sort of guesstimate the future as best as possible, but no one knows what's going to happen ultimately. And so a good way to do this is that you can have what I call the Kryptonian portfolio, and that way you'll get a big broad market spread. Okay, so let's say you had your pot, and this is your 100%. Well, in fact, yeah, this is your pot. Okay, let's make this bigger. So what you could do is be safe, and you could easily just go, hell, you can go 25% Bitcoin if you wanted, and whatever percentages you choose are completely your call. Just tweak these. This is not, I'm personally not doing it as I'm writing it. I'm doing it something slightly different, which I'll explain in a second. And then what you could do is use the Kryptonian portfolio for the remaining 50%. Now, with that remaining 50%, what I would recommend is going to Macroeconomic.io. Oh dear Lord. Okay, on-chain FX, stand by. Okay, or onchainfx.com, same thing. And in here, there's a tab up here that says Screener. So if you click Screener, and then click Sector over here, what it's going to do is it's simply just going to alphabetize the sectors. So just like in the stock market where you have lots of sectors, so you have car stocks, aviation stocks, weapons stocks, pharmaceutical stocks, etc. Crypto is no different. There are different sectors. So as you can see here, we've got 4 cryptos here in advertising. You've got a whole bunch for AI. We've got application development, where that's going to be big. Asset management, content creation, crowdfunding, currencies. Lots of them are trying to be currencies. Data, like you can go on and on and on. Now, what I would do is I would probably pick. Obviously, this is if you are going to do this, I'd pick 10 non-conflicting sectors. So I would be, because when I say non-conflicting, what I mean is like application development. I guess some of those could be very similar to content distribution-ish, or yeah, decentralized exchange. Yeah, some of these overlap. But what I would do is I'd pick maybe 10 sectors, and then buy the top. Yeah, I'd probably buy the top 2 of each sector. So in terms of market cap, by the way, and you'll see market cap here. And by the way, don't dick around with anything which is hovering around, the low numbers. I mean, like these, they've only got a couple, low millions, like $5 million, $8 million in this, so they're at risk of just going bust. So in advertising, actually, just buy one bat. Here we go. Let's go for something like application development. Okay, so here you got all the big boys, so you got Lisk and Hollow. And status. So yeah, what you could do is basically buy the top 2 in terms of market cap. And by the way, when I say market cap as well, they probably most likely have the best marketing budget as well. And these days, it's not it's not how good a crypto is. It's the marketing. Same with any sort of tech. In fact, I saw a funny. It's not really funny. Maybe I shouldn't say it. There's a cool picture. It was a funny picture of the mainstream flu going to COVID, going, I'm bigger and stronger than you, been around for much longer, and I've killed more people than you. And then COVID says, yeah, but I've got better marketing. Yeah, I just giggled. Anyway, controversial. So yeah, what you could do is buy the top 2 here, and then have a wild card. And the wild card is you can do some research and go, right, actually, I quite like the look of Arc Block, for example, and there could be. I mean, every crypto, when you start researching them, everyone will have its thing, which is where, oh my god, this is going to go to the moon because blah blah blah, and you can be suckered in and buying friggin' everything. At one point, I had probably at least 100 different cryptos in 2017, and it was impossible to maintain. And so, what you'll find is that you'll end up with, you could end up with like 50 cryptos, 50 plus tokens or coins or whatever you end up getting in this section. But here's the thing, we don't know which sector is going to boom, okay? Like, for all we know, that AI cryptos could all of a sudden go to the moon, and advertising section of cryptos just doesn't do anything. We don't know. But by doing this, you're basically spreading your load, you're spreading the risk, etc. And for all you know, one sector you've got in may go through go to the moon. Like, for example, I think personally, privacy coins will do very well. So if we go to go back here, if we all go all the way down to P, there should be one that says privacy. No. Okay, you'd have annoyingly, it should be, but yeah. So I'd have a look at privacy coins and get a bunch of them. So that is somewhat of a safe way to do it. So you're insulated because you've got the main ones here, and then you've got your punts. And all it takes is some of these to to go nuts. I remember I actually bought Tron. I can't remember. I bought $50,000 worth of Tron at 3.5 cents, and I sold it, it then went all the way up to like 30 cents, and then I sold it at I think 19 cents, something like that. I mean, that was just one crypto, which was a bit of a punt, and that did very well. And some of these, I mean, Hashcoin, was it Hashcoin or Ganja Coin or something like that? That went up like 5,000% or something silly as well. So sometimes these can actually really boom your portfolio. I got this coffee ages ago and it's now cold, so I'm really trying to guzzle it down. Okay, so the next part of what you should buy is the seesaws. So this is really important. So let's move this all the way over here. And I mentioned this to my students yesterday, actually, and what I'm doing personally for my cryptos. Ultimately, I want as much Bitcoin as possible. I just think it's going to be digital gold. It's going to be the thing. I mean, it's foreign to everyone. Bitcoin has no leader. Like for example, if you take Ethereum, Ethereum has a guy called Vitalik Buterin, who's this genius in the crypto space. Vitalik Buterin. Now, he's great, and Ether is really good. But let's say someone assassinated Vitalik. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. But let's say someone did. What do you think will happen to the price of Ether? It's going to just do this. It's a bit like if Elon Musk got assassinated, Tesla stock would go through the floor. And so there's always like this point man risk, so to speak. So ultimately, I think Bitcoin is going to be, in the future, moving on, is going to be somewhat like gold. So that is, I guess, my goal up here. So let's just put this in a little, put that up here. Now, as this is my crypto goal, and by the way, there's no point trying to predict what's going to happen in 10 years' time. No one knows. I mean, it's just too far ahead. But at least for the next 5 years, it's going to be crypto gold, pretty much. Now, all assets have a ratio with each other. So, for example, if you wanted, there will be, a ratio between the average house price in the UK to bushels of wheat, if you wanted. Okay, and if you looked at the chart of UK average house prices to bushels of wheat, it's going to be doing something like this. And what you'll find is that most assets are cyclical, nearly all. And the thing is, there's a thing called the Kondratiev waves. And a Kondratiev wave is basically when you have two asset classes that are cyclical, but they're inversely correlated, like so. And I guess this is what has been now labelled wealth cycle investing. But what you pretty much want to do is go all in on an asset when it's when it's rock bottom and low, and then you need to sell. So you need to buy the asset which is hated, which not many people like, and then you need to sell the asset which everyone loves. And so you go in here, and then over a period of time, it could be 20 years, it could be 5 years. This will then eventually become valuable, and then guess what? You sell here, and then this would have obviously, you then buy it from the gutter over here, and you just completely flip-flop. And this is why some people, only buy stocks. Well, guess what? Their net worth is just going to go sideways, because all they're doing is they'll be in stocks. They'll go, yay, I'm in loads of profit. Ah, shit. Yay, I'm in loads of profit. Ah, shit. And so this could be like 50 years, or whatever, and someone ends up net zero. Whereas if you do it this way, you'll end up just breaking free. So let's move. Yeah, so that's basically what asset ratios are. Now, remember, I'm in this for Bitcoin, right? And so Bitcoin will have its own ratios. And so at the moment, Bitcoin is going to be pretty high against most things. And so if we look at Ether versus Bitcoin, it tells a pretty interesting story. So if we go to trading view again, and let's get rid of this market cap thing, and then if we type Ether against Bitcoin, remember, this is nothing to do with the price, okay? As you can see, it's 0.02. So what this effectively means is that, there's a time thing in the way, but there's, zero, so what is this? 1 Ether equals 0.026 of a Bitcoin, okay? That's basically what it means. So what could actually happen is, as I said, it's nothing to do with the dollar amount. I mean, Ether could actually stay still in price. So, for example, if I can't draw. If Ether was, I don't know, no, screw this. Trading view doesn't like me drawing. But all I'm saying is that Ether could stay level in price and Bitcoin could crash, and then this ratio would go up because this is Ether against Bitcoin. So, but long story short, if we zoom out, what you'll find is that Ether is massively undervalued compared to Bitcoin. Massively undervalued. And so what I want to do is, what I'm personally doing when I get my full whack in, is I am going to be going big time into Ether, because Ether is massively undervalued. And eventually, when Ether gets back up to sort of these levels, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell my Ether and get back into Bitcoin. So apologies if I'm going to labour this, but I just want to give you an example. Okay, I'm going to use my annotation thing, so hopefully that'll be clearer. Right, so let's say your goal was to end up with as much Bitcoin as possible, and let's say you have $10,000. So you start up here with $10,000. If you were to go into Bitcoin right now, and it's 9,190, right? So $10,000, divide that by 9,190, you're gonna end up with, oh, come on, pen. Here we go. Nope, that's not working. Let's try this. So you're gonna end up with 1.0881 of a Bitcoin. Okay, so that's if you were to just go, right, I'm going to spunk my 10 grand straight into, sorry, bad wording, I'm just going to put my Bitcoin straight into Bitcoin, right? You'll end up with that, and then sit happy, do nothing. However, if you were to put your $10,000 into Ether right now, I'm just going to do this on my phone so it doesn't screw up the annotation thingamajiggy. So coin market cap. So Ether right now is sat at $238. So $10,000, divide that by 238. That's going to give me 42.0168 Ether. Okay. Obviously there's going to be fees, so let's just get rid of that one, and let's get rid of it. Let's just call it 42 Ether. Okay. Now, if this happens, or no, really, when this happens, because basically all the banks and governments around the world are building stuff on Ether, on the Ethereum network. This is going to recoup the ground it lost to Bitcoin. But let's just say it got to this level here, the 0.1 level. What this means is that if Ether got back to this level, and I sold my 42 Ether, so 42 Ether divided by 0.1, sorry, 42 times 0.1, all of a sudden, so what you do is you do 42 times 0.1, I could have done that in my head, equals 4.2. So this is what I mean by seesaws. So in this case, yeah, so this is the Ether Bitcoin seesaw. At the moment, Bitcoin is up here, and Ether's down here, but eventually this is going to come up, and this is effectively going to go down, and my $10,000 will end up getting me 4.2 Bitcoin, as opposed to just blowing it all on Bitcoin now and having one. Does that bit make sense? Some people, I remember like 10 years ago when I was trying to get my head around, ratios. It took me forever to get my head around it. Are there any questions on this sort of ratios type stuff?
Yeah, it just depends on if the coin itself will go up.
Correct. Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
not me. So you're taking a chance on the coin going up, no matter which one you invest in, and then trading it off against Bitcoin at some stage.
Yeah. So obviously you have to use probabilities, etc. And as I said, no one knows anything. So it's see if Annie. Yeah, no worries. You'll see the recording on YouTube. Yeah, we don't know. So this is why you have to use probabilities. And again, everything has a seesaw in your life and probabilities. So for example, you want to go to the shop to buy an ice cream, and that seesaw is, can I be asked? And if you want your ice cream more than can I be asked, you guess what? Chances are you're going to go to the shop. But if you can't be asked, you're not. So there are probabilities, and obviously everything pretty much everything starts off at 50-50, and then all it needs to do is tip at least one direction a tiny bit, and then yeah. So that's the Ether Bitcoin. Now the thing is, this is not really relevant to crypto in particular, but I do this in my life, in general. So in seesaws, I have a wealth target, right? So my wealth target is this, and I want to get to here as soon as possible, right? So this has been my 10-year target, and I want to get there. And you have to understand that there are vehicles. There are all sorts of vehicles. That is supposed to be a car. This is supposed to be a race car, and this is supposed to be a helicopter. So let's just, I'm not knocking any of these vehicles, by the way, but I'm just trying to overemphasize a point. Let's say this is a job, okay? Now jobs are great. It's the first step of your wealth accumulation journey. You cannot get rich unless you start off with a job so you can pay your bills, etc. And yeah, so this is always the starting block, okay? Now let's just put some bones to this. Let's just say this was £10 million. If you're going to get your if you're going to try and get that via a job, it's going to take you, Jesus, like 50 plus years, and only then you have to hope that you're really going up the C-suite ladder. But it's dead man's shoes. You can't be the director of your business until that person dies, or leaves, or sells, or whatever. So a race car version could be, okay, well, you can get a better type of job, or you can become a business owner, etc. Or like a one-man band, etc. So let's self-employed, I don't know, let's just say sole trader, let's say. But then a helicopter is like, yeah, I'm going to really get into business, and I'm going to start buying and selling businesses, etc. And basically it's a more efficient vehicle to get you from A to B, if that makes sense, or in a time efficient manner. So personally, what I am doing, and in fact no, let's do that, is I don't like being pigeonholed. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, Siam, you're just a trader, what do you know about business or whatever. I'm not. I guess I'm like I like to do lots of different things. So personally, all I do is I've got a group of companies over here. So I've got about 8 businesses up here. They all spin off profits of some sort, and I put those profits into my trading. Okay. Now, more specifically, I've got a trading bot, so it does 99% of my trading for me. Okay, so this is what I'm doing now, and this bot will be chucking out profits over time, And what I then do, or actually, there's a thing called first order and second order profits in Siam language. This is what I call it. So what I do is I put first order profits back into the business. Okay, so it's chucking out profits, and let's call it first order. And I put it back into the business because I don't want to choke the business. Remember, your business is like an entity. It's a real person, and you wouldn't like strip a person of all of their wealth. But that's what every business owner does. They're like, oh, I made some profits, strip. And all you're doing is just choking your business. So you need to reinvest back into your business, into marketing, more staff, more whatever. Then eventually you'll get second order profits, or third order, fifth order, etc. I then put second order profits into my trading bot, or other investments, maybe some, or plus others ish, not that much, most of it goes over here, and then the profits, or let's just call it ROI, I then put into other assets, and these other assets would be things like crypto, other things like I want to get a big position in Tesla stock eventually, and yeah, it could be other things, or it could just be other businesses. So yeah, so this I guess is my whole wealth plan, so to speak. So as you can see, I'm not basically going all in on crypto, and I highly recommend that you don't. However, so I guess this is me as a whole, but I am going to be putting a higher percentage of my liquid net worth into cryptos than I recommend. Like, because I'm so confident in what's going to happen over the next few years in the crypto scene and also the global macroeconomic scene, I'm personally going to be loading up to about 50% of my liquid net worth into crypto. I mean, why wouldn't I? If I was that confident, why wouldn't I? So yeah, Damien.
What I wanted to ask was the stablecoin thing.
Yeah.
You know, you made a profit. What do you see in terms of? I was looking at different stablecoin thing, right? And if you've made profit on something, then there's different ways of hedging that profit. Can you maybe clarify that for me?
Yeah, sure. So let's keep it simple. Let's just say a typical crypto coin or token. The price will do this, okay? It will fluctuate up and down depending on blah. With a stable coin, let's just take Tether. That was like the OG. That was like the original sort of stable coin. What it's supposed to do is stick to $1. So basically, one Tether equals $1 US, or so it's supposed to be. So what this effectively meant was that the reason stablecoins came into existence is that it was a way that you could sidestep the market without going back into cash, etc. So, for example, without a stablecoin, if you were to buy a crypto, or if you wanted to exit here, you'd then have to exit back into the dollar or the pound, etc. And it used to be a bit clunky because back in the day, playing with pounds and dollars, or fiat currency, let's call it fiat. It was just a bit clunky. Whereas with a stable coin, what you could do is, instead of exiting into fiat, you could then exit into Tether, USDT, let's call it. And so what you're doing is you'd be safe in the knowledge that your Tether is effectively going back into fiat because it's flat, and then when you're ready to rebuy, or let's say it goes down here and you want to go back in and buy, all you're doing is you're buying X amount of your crypto in Tether. So that's originally why stablecoins existed. It's just so you could sort of sidestep the market and wait until you go back in. But these days, obviously the pound, the dollar, all the fiat currencies around the world are crumbling, and so what we're seeing is a big re-emergence of stablecoins. So originally I thought, I said, first of all, Facebook are 100% going to launch a crypto of some sort, and they have confirmed that in the form of Libra, or Calibra, but it's not going to be a typical crypto. What they're trying to do is turn that into a stable coin, and what actually they're trying to do is they're going head to head. So it's effectively Facebook versus the global currency system. they're trying to take out it would take out the dollar as the global world reserve currency. It would, yeah. So what I wouldn't do is put a whole bunch of money into stablecoins, because guess what? By default, it's not going to fluctuate that much. However, they're not infallible, because if you go back to here and look at USDT, where is it? No, let's just type in Tether.
Number 3, Sean.
Oh, it's number 3. Of course it is. So if we click that, so let's double check. So it's the price. Yeah, you can see it hasn't really stuck to $1 properly. It went all the way down to 92 cents and all the way up to sort of, yeah. So I mean, there or thereabouts is $1, but yeah, as you can see, they've been printing like no tomorrow. Does that sort of answer your?
There's a new one, a UK one, isn't there? The UK Binance.
There's going to be loads. Ultimately, I don't really care too much for them. They're only there to be used for short term. Okay, so yeah, and I guess another reason for stablecoins originally is that if you were to exit cryptos and then let's say you're now back in dollars, those dollars would be sat on an exchange before you know, and withdrawing your dollars or pounds from an exchange back to your bank account takes time. Sometimes it takes up to 7 working days, and then to send money back to your exchange, it can take a couple of working days. So you're not very agile. So if you're like, oh shit, I want to get back in, it's like, oh geez, I've got to wait a couple of days to, you know, backs it over, etc. Whereas with a stablecoin, it's like that. However, you still got the problem of your stablecoin being on an exchange, and I would say at least 99% of exchanges have been hacked, crashed, or gone bust. So never ever leave your money or coins on an exchange. So I'm just quickly looking at the chat box. Will the impending global financial crash affect the price of Ether? Yeah, I think it will crash with it. So I think Ether and Bitcoin. Let's just look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the mothership. Okay, whatever Bitcoin does, everything else does. So let's get Bitcoin, and then let's superimpose the S&P 500. So this is the 500 biggest stocks in the US. Why is it not SPX? There we go. Right. So cryptos is supposed to be an uncorrelated asset, but it's not. So here, if we look, so this blue line is the S&P 500, so the US stock market, and obviously the red and green line is Bitcoin. It's not an uncorrelated asset at all. Can you see that when cryptos crashed, so when the stock market crashed, cryptos crashed with it, and then when the stock market had its suckers rally, or it's still in its suckers rally because of financial stimulus, Bitcoin also has rallied with it. So at the moment, and this is all due to financial derivatives, options trading, futures trading, Wall Street basically. So it's gone in lockstep. So when stocks will finally roll over again, I believe cryptos will fall over with it as well. But then there's going to be some sort of disconnect where oh dear, come on, oh God's sake, where stocks keep on falling, but then crypto disconnects and does its thing. So yeah, temporarily I think we're going to have another dip down, but then it's going to disconnect. Dieter, can we trust trading bots? You said you use one. I go back to my YouTube channel, and there is a why you really need a machine learning trading bot. Have a look at that video. I'll put the link in. I've failed with trading bots for about 10 years. And the machine, oh no, I've sent that to Matt Stevens by accident. So let's do it. Sorry, Matt Stevens. Yeah, that's everyone. I'd watch that. It needs a machine learning element, and I would say most are shit. So yeah, have a look at that. Right, let's carry on because it's been an hour and 9 minutes, and I need to speed up. Sorry. So what exactly should you buy? So in a nutshell, what I'm personally doing is I'm going to go all in on Ether, and I'm simply I'm simply going to stay in Ether until Ether gets back up to sort of these levels, and I'll end up with more Bitcoin for my buck. And then I guess I'll also have a small chunk of cryptos on other things, because I still like some of the alternative coins out there, like Neo, Ontology, and etc. But I guess, yeah, in fact, in hindsight, I'm going to end up with some form of Kryptonian portfolio, except it's going to be more like 75% Ether, 25% mixed bag. That's just me, okay? Please do your own research, obviously. This is just what I personally like. Right, what should I avoid? Any form of multi-level marketing scheme. They are simply a middleman. And yeah, in fact, there's one person, I remember, they tried to sell me. So remember, this is the crypto market over here. Here is you as the punter. That's a sad looking stick, man. There was an MLM once and this is when Bitcoin, I think, was like $15,000. Okay, bear that in mind. This MLM said, "Hey, would you like to buy some Bitcoin from us?" And I was like, "Not really," and they're like, "Yeah, we can sell it to you for $18,000 a Bitcoin." I was like, "Really?" It was something crazy like that. The markup was stupid. It was like a $3,000 markup or something. And I was like, "Well, why are you charging $18,000 when I can go to Binance and just buy it at market for $15,000?" And they're like, yeah, but it's I'll be your one point of contact. I've got all these videos, and here's a lovely PDF. I'm like, all this was through. Yeah, and they're just the middleman. There's no need for any middlemen when you're buying and selling gold and silver and crypto. Just go straight to the market. You don't need to dick about with these. Okay. Yeah, Tom, no Bitcoin to start with. It's just an end game for me. I know someone who's trying to sell me OneCoin. Yeah. Again, if you really want a giggle, I've probably said this too many times, but on my YouTube channel, there's a video where I talk about scams. Here we go. Good trading brokers, bad brokers, and trading scams. Yeah, BitConnect is the one that I was, yeah. And basically there's this really awkward thing where this guy was trying to sell me OneCoin, which is the biggest crypto scam ever.
It's it's the biggest scam in the crypto world.
But believe you me, I know the guy very well.
Anyway, it was an awkward conversation. I'll always be straight to your face. Anyway, moving forwards. Oh yeah, ICOs. Don't play around with ICOs. So what will happen, and it happened in 2017. Again, there's loads of videos about the ICOs. And it's going to happen again. When the hype cycle comes back in, we will have another mini explosion of ICOs. Now, they may give it another name. It could be... So that's an initial coin offering. That's what an ICO is. It's basically like an IPO where a company launches onto the stock market. An ICO is a crypto launching on the crypto market. But they may give it different names. They may give it, I mean, there's all sorts of abbreviations for this. It could be a regulated one or whatever. We'll have an explosion of them, and everyone will be sending out some sort of white paper or, sign this NDA if you want to have a look at this crypto project, etc. Don't do it. Just ignore all of them. Like with IPOs, most IPOs crash at least 50% in the first year of listing. And I've been involved in a fair few ICOs. I've been scammed. Like this... Sorry?
Not give up my ID. Flex your rights, know your rights, learn them well, and exercise them as much as possible before you ain't got nothing to exercise with. It's getting out of hand with the police. It's only getting worse. We need police. Not all police are bad, but we need to weed out the bad. The only way we can protect ourselves is to exercise our rights and keep your camera hand.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Darren. I didn't hear a word of what you just said. But and he's just exited. Okay, bye, Darren. So yeah, just ignore them, okay? Everyone will be saying, this is going to go to the moon. Well, is it? Just give it a while. And even if it is going to be a good one, what you'll always find is that the market, you'll have its little hype spike, and then it'll come back to normality. So you will always, don't let FOMO chase you here. So anyway, where should you buy it? Right, we've got a list here of possible places where you can buy crypto. So should you buy it from your friends? Even if it's your best mate? No. Don't. MLMs? No. Revolut? No. By the way, I use Revolut a lot, by the way. I like it, because I get to spend my, it's just a nice simple app. Now on Revolut, you probably can't see this. Come on. You will find that you can actually buy crypto. Now it says buy crypto, but it isn't, so you don't need to see it, but download the app if you got it, and it will say, hey, would you like to, you can buy crypto from Ether, Bitcoin, whatever. If you do it via Revolut, you do not own the crypto, okay? You don't own it. And there's a good thing, like in the gold and silver world, there's a saying that if you can't hold it, you don't own it. And in crypto, it's the same thing. If you don't have the private key, you don't own it. So this is basically, they'll say that you own Bitcoin, but you don't. You'll never be able to move that Bitcoin anywhere. You'll only be able to redeem it for cash, etc. So don't bother. eBay, 100% not. And I guess, yeah, just stick with the big online brokers. So, Kraken, Binance, Coinbase, etc. And everyone gets so caught up on fees, like, oh my god, it's £5 to buy one Bitcoin, or £7 or 10 or whatever. Like, unless you're trading it, and by the way, I would 100% recommend not to trade crypto. Like, I wouldn't worry. I would get used to, personally, I just use Kraken to put my fiat currency in, as in from my bank account into Kraken. I buy Bitcoin or Ether, etc. And if I ever want to play around with any other altcoins, for example, I'll then just ping it over to Binance. So yeah, so for me, by the way, I've got no affiliate link. I don't earn any money by saying this. Kraken and Binance is really all I use, but I never leave stuff on there. So where should you buy it? That's that. Now here's the thing: where do you store it? So this is, yeah, if you're new to crypto, like, this is where you're gonna end up in a rabbit hole of despair. So what are keys? Right, let's put this into simple English. On your bank, you no doubt have a bank account with Barclays, Lloyds, I don't care, doesn't matter. And with your bank account, you have an account number and a sort code. So what this basically means, and with that, you have a PIN. And with the PIN, you probably got your online banking details, etc. But effectively, your Main Street bank account has account and sort number and a PIN. Now, these two over here, your account number and your sort, all it tells you is what bank you're with and what account you have. It's like, right, your sort code is like, okay, you're with this bank, and your account number is, okay, that account in this bank is yours, okay? But you can't, like, if I gave you my account number and sort code, you couldn't access my money unless you're some super hacker. Only I can access my money because I have my PIN, my personal identification number. So that's what it's like with banks. And crypto is the same thing. So in crypto, your public key is simply your account number and sort code, and your private key is your PIN. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to understand with private key with keys. Now, when it comes to storage, this is where the rabbit hole and also mini war comes in. I've met so many crypto people going, oh no, cold wallets are shit, it's all about hot wallets, and people saying the opposite thing, and it's all about your Trezor, your Ledger Nano, all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, all these do, so basically, just a quick one, a cold wallet is basically where you're taking your cryptos offline, so as in off an exchange. A hot wallet is where you're effectively keeping your cryptos in your exchange, like Kraken or whatever, or like a web-based wallet. And a hardware wallet is like a dongle. So there's lots out there. Most people have heard of the Ledger Nano S, but there's all sorts of USB sticks. Now you have to understand, what do they do? And when you really boil it down, all of these wallets, no matter how fancy they may be, it could be a Chrome plugin, whatever, all they do is secure your private key. And I guess your public key, but that's not so important. I guess it is important. But yeah, effectively, all it's doing is that it's protecting your public key and your private key. That is it. Just in lots of different fancy ways. So I actually paper wallet my stuff, because all you need to do is you can, so I literally have bits of paper with my private key and my public key. That is it. So I could, someone could come in and steal my computers, my everything, whatever, but they don't have access to my crypto unless they have my private key, and that's on bits of paper. And I think, off the top of my head, so I'm a bit rusty, I think there's a 3-2-1 principle. So I think you need to keep 3 different copies in 2 different medium. No, I can't remember. So it sounds like 3 different copies in 2 different versions or mediums, and in at least 2 different places. But that's 1. I can't remember. But yeah, like with anything, you don't just have 1 piece of paper, because if you lose that, you're screwed. And don't have all of your copies in the same house, because what if your house burns down? So at least have it in 2 different locations. So that's what I do. Should you store it on an exchange? No. I mean, if you're trading it, it's a bit of a chore sending your cryptos to a wallet, etc. But there are loads of videos. Now the thing is, on my crypto course, I made these in like 2017, 2018, etc. And I would still 100% recommend watching these videos. They're the very early ones on, like opening your account, etc. But things may have progressed. Like, so here, this is a Bitcoin paper wallet. And basically, I walk you through how to do that. But some of these things may not be that secure anymore. Like, for example, for a long time I was using my Ether wallet, and I know a lot of people knock my Ether wallet because they say it's not secure, and I completely understand and agree that there are some ways that my Ether wallet is not secure. But if you do the things properly, I mean, in those videos I'll show you how to do it properly. All you need at the end of the day, once you create your wallet, is just you need your keys, and then when you want to send your Ether back to the exchange, you can simply just log in and then ping them over. But this video is not for that. So exchange, no. However, oh, by the way, before we go any further, 100% do not ever store your crypto in a bank. You are a fool if you ever store your crypto in a bank. I promise you're going to lose it at some point. Like, no doubt in the future banks will go, hey, we can store your crypto for you and we'll provide insurance. Huh? And what is everyone going to do? Like, this is they'll only do this when the masses start buying crypto, but they're like, yeah, we'll store your crypto for you, so you just send it to our wallet, etc., and you can pay some insurance, so if we ever lose it, you're reimbursed. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for pain if you ever do that, because what will happen is at some point they'll be like, actually, all it takes is the government to go, right, Bitcoin's illegal, or X shitcoin is illegal, and the banks will just do what the government's saying and go, oh, okay, well, what we'll do is we will now just simply give you cash for your crypto, and they may not even give you market price. Like, for example, Mt. Gox. So if you're ever bored, research Mt. Gox. And what happened is that loads of people had loads of crypto stored with Mt. Gox. It went bust, and I think there's one family, they effectively bought shitloads of Bitcoin, like a lot, at something like $1,000. No, sorry, $400. I think it's like $400 a Bitcoin, and they did this years and years ago, and Bitcoin went through the roof. And at the time I read this, it was in 2017. It's something like Bitcoin was, I don't know, call it $15,000. But this went bust a long time ago. It may have been less than 400. And during the insolvency, liquidation, etc., Bitcoin's going through the roof. So lots of families thought, oh, that's okay. I'm insured somewhat. You know, that we're going to get paid back. And they thought they were going to get millions. Wrong. What happened is that they got reimbursed for the buying price they originally bought. So not only did they have all of their money tied up for 5-10 years or however long it took to solve it, they only got the original buy price. And what happened is that the person, Habib, do you remember the guy? He walked away with like billions of dollars of people's Bitcoin.
I think it's still in custody, and they're still waiting to still solve the case.
But yeah, I remember there's this one guy who effectively, you know, after paying off everyone their base rate, he still had like $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, which he can or can't move, I don't know. But yeah, things like that happen all the time. Not just crypto, it happens in the gold market as well. So just don't trust anyone, especially a bank. Now, here is a caveat to all of this. Because if you're like me and you are completely useless at tech, a lot of this is going to go over your head. Okay, I have had to force myself and break all this crypto bollocks down into 5-year-old English so I understand it. And that's the only reason. I've literally had to invest tens of hours, you know, in just understanding, you know, wallets, how to move things, how to protect it properly. But even still, I'm a techno idiot. I've only just recently taught myself how to build a computer from scratch, and that took a lot of my brain energy. So, and here's the other thing: if you're also like me, you're very forgetful, right? You'll have all sorts of files on your computer, and guess what? I've probably lost at least $10,000 or dollars worth of crypto just because I've lost the freaking folder I saved it in, or I was trying to be really sneaky in my you know, and I was saving. I had all my crypto keys in like some secure Microsoft Word document, but I put them in all sorts of different folders, folder in a folder in a folder, and then I'm like, where the hell is my crypto? I've lost it. Can't. Yeah. In fact, behind me, I've got my old computer here. I'm pretty sure there's crypto in that computer, which I just can't find. And in terms of security, never do what I just did. Never ever tell anyone you've bought crypto, ever. Especially now, because people are like, oh, Simon's moving house soon, and he's got a computer with crypto in it. Let's go and rob him. That's really not wise, actually. So yeah, your best form of security is basically shut the fuck up, don't tell anyone, and no one will come looking for it. Now, going back to the exchange, yeah, so you have this another seesaw, believe it or not, and when it comes to storage. So, do you keep your crypto on an exchange, like a really good one, let's say Kraken, or do I self-store? Now, if you put it in a hardware thing, like a little Ledger Nano S, do you trust yourself enough not to lose that Nano? And even if you do lose it, do you trust yourself to not only lose the USB, but also the secret 20-word phrase to recover your crypto on that if you lose, you know, because you have like a special seed like code so you can recover things. So you're constantly going, am I reliable enough to look after my own money, or is an exchange actually going to be more secure? Put it this way, everyone here throughout all of your lives have not managed your own money. Because who looks after your money? Your bank does. We all have bank accounts. Yeah, we think we manage our own money, but we don't. We put our money in a bank account and we simply trust them to look after it for us. Yeah, we have access to it, and they've made it very easy. Like I can do it with my fingerprint, or you know, all you need to remember is a 4-digit code, not a 25-digit code, which is what most private keys are, or more. So I wouldn't dismiss this. Like, rule 101 with crypto is never store on an exchange, but how reliable are you? And these days, I'm going to end up putting 6 figures into crypto soon. And so I'm actually weighing this up. Do I trust myself to have 6 figures of crypto now, and if the market goes up, that 6 figures could easily turn into 7 or 8 figures? I don't particularly like the thought of me storing, I don't know, $10 million worth of crypto on my computer. Even though I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So maybe if you're putting, a couple of grand into crypto, maybe you could just leave it on Kraken. I mean, touch wood, Kraken's never been hacked, but we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Right. How and when shall I sell it? So, as I mentioned, selling it back to your online broker. Yep. Or don't. So personally, I don't think I will. So if we zoom over here, when we look at the Bitcoin chart, right? Obviously it's doing its thing. Now, the market will always pull back big time. If Bitcoin gets to $100,000, geez, I'll probably be selling throughout. So let's say it breezes through 50, I'll probably sell a fair chunk at 50, and I'll just keep on selling as it goes up, bit by bit, right? I'll instead of pound cost averaging in, I'll pound cost average out. Once it starts going nuts, because when things go ballistic, things always go higher than you think for longer than you think, typically. So if we go back to Bitcoin over here, get rid of all my drawings, please. Right. Go away, drawings. So, yeah, as you can see, at this point here, in the space of not long at all, it's gone from $400 Bitcoin all the way up to 2,500. And if you're looking at this chart, you're like, oh god, this has gone vertical. I need to get out now. But no, it does its thing, and it does this. Now it's $4,000, and you're like, oh my god, I got in at 400. I managed to really hold on. I'm now, okay, it's starting to roll over now. And then, oh shit, before you know it, you're at $20,000. And you will, it's the best emotional roller coaster that you will ever go through. It really is, because if you survive the 2017 crash and you're still here, you know the pain, know the feelings, and you simply can't teach that shit. And so I am fully expecting Bitcoin to do something like this, because it's fractals basically. So it's no doubt going to do something like it'll go past, it'll probably hit 50 maybe, and then it'll probably pull back to 20, right? Because no doubt what will happen is that during this hype cycle, there's going to be loads of billionaires that'll go, shit the bed, I've missed out on here, I need to get in, and they're going to get the banks to crash it for them, just like they did over here. Okay. So it'll then come back down to 20, maybe 15, because everyone will be looking at this 20 level. So it may just go, here's 15, guys and girls. You didn't expect that, did you? And then we're going to see the beginning of another hype cycle, and we'll probably see something like all the way up to 100, maybe 110, and then it'll smash all the way back down to the point where you think this is going to zero. And if you look back at what sentiment was like in 2018. It was painful. Everyone was hurting because we'd seen it go from $20,000 all the way down to $3, and even when we were around 3 or 4, people were like, "Oh, it's going to $500." Back to these lows here. So, at the end of the day, we don't know. No one knows. There's all sorts of mathematical models that you can do. I always look at market cap. There's stock to flow ratio. There's all sorts of different things. But personally, once it hits 50, I'm going to be pound cost averaging out until I'm left with none, and then I'm going to wait for a pullback. What we know pretty damn on, one thing Bitcoin has told us from the year dot, from when it started, is that you will have massive 20 to 80% drops all the time. All the time. I mean, this is I mean, there's a lot more before 2015, but you know, look at this. There are 50% drawdowns all of the time. Like this little movement here in 2016. Look at that. That was a massive drop. I mean, look how similar that pattern is there to the big pattern in 2018. Like, they're fractals, and it just does the same thing over and over again. Now, going back to my exit plan, I want to basically cash in a lot of the profits around here. Now, even if it, you know, it does balloon up to 150 and I'm fully out by 100, I'm not too fussed. Don't give in to your horns of greed, because don't forget, we're getting in around, you know, 10 now, so you're still effectively 5xing or 10xing your money. But here's the thing, when it crashes back down, then I'll buy, and this stash here, wherever I buy it at whatever level it is, I will not sell, because once it's done this, it'll then start its next fractal upwards, right? And at those prices, as I mentioned, like mathematically, I can easily show you that, you know, Bitcoin could go to $1 million a Bitcoin, or more. I mean, it's not just me saying that. There are like professors out there also saying it. Now, if I'm fortunate enough to have a whole wad of Bitcoin or Ether, and I've got in at these levels, or hell, even if I've got in at these levels and it does something crazy, I probably won't sell it, because it will then become universal gold, effectively. And if I ever want cash, I will simply borrow from it. So if you take a billionaire like Jeff Bezos or Musk, or just any old billionaire, what you'll find is that when they want cash flow, or capital, they won't sell their stock because they don't want to hurt the share price. What they'll do is they'll simply borrow, you know, they'll go out and borrow X million pounds or dollars, whatever, in exchange for stock, and they'll effectively, you know, put a whole bunch of stock in escrow with some sort of bank, etc. So that's there being protected, and then they'll pay the bank, obviously, the APR of the loan. APR. Just like a loan, but they've still got the stock, okay? So just like here, if I wanted cash to buy a house or whatever, I'll borrow from it, I get the cash, but I still own my stash. I haven't sold it. So that's what I'm going to do. But obviously I'm not going to be buying Bitcoin with Ether for the moment, yeah, and then at some point. Obviously I don't know when I'm going to be doing these things. Also, be aware of this. At some point, I would not be surprised if a government, or even the UK government, goes, we don't like the smell of Bitcoin. We're going to make it illegal to own. Just like Roosevelt did in 1932, and they said private ownership of gold is no longer acceptable. And what they did back in 1932 is that anyone that owned gold, they had to go to their local Federal Reserve Bank, hand in their gold in exchange for Federal Reserve notes. So before that time, by the way, it was the US greenback. It was so what they effectively did is the Federal Reserve dished out loads of Federal Reserve notes, which is now actually the US dollar, in exchange for that. But the thing is, everyone that went, screw you, Roosevelt, and they didn't hand in their gold, what happened? Gold went through the roof, and everyone that secretly kept their gold made a fortune. Now, there's also another myth. No one ever got raided. So all that they did was like, it's like, when was the last time you got raided, or someone got raided for owning a spliff of weed? Like, they don't do that. The police, they don't dick about with the public that has maybe, you know, enough weed for a couple of spliffs or not. They go after the big heroin, cocaine dealers, etc. So no one is going to be raiding you if you have a couple of Bitcoin. Just shut up, don't tell anyone. That's your number one rule. Everyone here, there's what, 54, it's been fluctuating, it's 54 right now. Like, don't tell anyone you got Bitcoin. That's the best advice I can ever give you. Buy it as a punt, be prepared it could go to zero or it could go to lots, but don't tell anyone. Just say you've got a business, side business going somewhere, I don't know. So if this happens, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to, well, yeah, I'm going to comply with the government. So, anyway, so that, I guess, is my it's 1 hour and 39 minutes. So I've gone on longer than I'd wished.
I remember when I was selling those, by the time I actually wanted to sell it to when I actually sold them, I lost on like 20 grand.
Yeah, I know. And you end up having like 5 or 10 different types of wallet. So with all the ERC20 tokens, I use like my Ether wallet, but then you had Bitcoin ones, and then you had other... yeah. And then, yeah... get out of my system. Where's the best place to get paper wallets now? So it depends what you have. Again, it depends. So this is the crazy thing, or not crazy thing. Every crypto is different. So anything built on the Ethereum network is called an ERC20 token. So you can use my Ether wallet for ERC20 tokens, but you can't use my Ether wallet for Bitcoin. So typically what I tend to say is that go to the official website of whatever coin you buy. Let's just think of one. Like, let's just come up with a random crypto. So let's look at one which I have no idea about and I have not looked at. So I have not looked at Tether. So I have no idea what Tether is. So I'll simply go to CoinMarketCap. I'll click on it. I'll simply go to their main website. Okay, what is it? Next generation video delivery powered by you. Okay, so just straight away, it's looking like it's trying to take out YouTube. Okay, good luck with that. So here we go. Most sites, they'll have a, in the navigation menu, wallet. So I'll simply look at wallet, and then I will simply go through their wallet. So here, so this, for a complete new person, this isn't very helpful, right? Me looking at this, I know what a key store file is and all that. So don't have a wallet, okay, create wallet, and just go through this, set a password, okay, download the key store, cool, okay, then what? So if you're ever unsure, then you just go to YouTube, Theta wallet, and there's always going to be a video. But when in doubt, store your crypto in the official wallet of that crypto. When in doubt. So right, next question. Let's get rid of Theta. Habib, rejected Mt. Gox victim, second chance to reclaim lost Bitcoin. Brock Pierce. That's his name. Yeah. Oh no, Mark Carpels. That's the one I was trying to remember.
Looks like he's still holding it as well. I just did some research on it.
Yeah, Carpels. He looked like a smug man when he walked out of that court. I remember. What's your contingency plan if you die? How would your people know about your Bitcoin? As in my family. So I've done something a bit crazy. But if you go to Amazon and type the crypto book, here you'll find my book. I've got a lot more reviews on Audible, by the way. I've only got 14 on Amazon, but on Audible I've got way. It's a good book, in my opinion. If you get it, thank you for the 45p that my publisher pays me. It's ridiculous. If you ever go to publish a book, I recommend self-publishing. Literally, I make 45p for every book that's sold. So I make bugger all. And even if you download the audiobook from Audible and you still pay the 10 quid or whatever, I'll still get 45p. That's how shit. And I've got the biggest publisher in the UK. Anyway, so in this book, I have put my private key inside it. So in these pages, obviously I'm not going to tell you which ones. How do I zoom out? Yeah. So I can't remember how many pages are in here, but
I can pay you a book, so I've got it here.
Hey. But yeah, I've put my private key in a bunch of different pages, so my wife knows which page, what paragraph, which line she needs to go to find either the letter or the word or whatever. So yeah, so that way I know I can never lose it, but the cipher we can lose. So plus she knows my login details to get into stuff. So I don't know if I can find. I'll open up another screen. 1 second. This may be handy for some people. May not be. Oh, come on. So I'm just trying to find it. It may be handy. Okay, it doesn't help that I can't find it. I probably can if I spent some time. But I made a document. I guess it's very similar to a will. So first of all, have a will, put stuff in that, but things change. I've got a document here. Okay, it's here somewhere on my computer, called an unexpected departure document. Unexpected departure. I die somehow unexpectedly, and in that I've got all the login details, username, passwords, where stuff is kept, yada yada yada, because the will won't have that, because that constantly changes. And so I've got that document, and so Ellie knows where to look for it. So yeah, but yeah, it's worth doing stuff like that. Right, chat box, where's it gone? Do you still hold ADA? I don't own anything. I just own Ether at the moment. I've just got, yeah, at the moment I've got a chunk in Ether, and I've got a lot more to go in, but I'm just waiting. I'm still undecided on what's happening at the moment. It's, yeah. The annoying thing here is that I can equally argue that Bitcoin is going to shoot to the moon from here, and I can also equally argue that Bitcoin is going to crash back down to $6,000 from here. And at the moment I can argue equally for both sides, so I'm sat on my hands. I need more data. I need more candlesticks to present itself. But looking at this, I mean, just straight away we can see that there's a compression going on, and compressions equal expansions. So what I do know for pretty darn sure is that anytime from, let's say, tomorrow to the end of the month, 1st of August-ish. So at some point this month, we're going to see an expansion. Now, this technically is what's called a symmetrical compression, so there's no real direction on this. I would probably say, in terms of probabilities, I would say actually it's a 60% probability that it's going to be an expansion to the upside. Then it'll probably pull back to retest the level and then do something like this, and it'll probably attack this 10,500 level. This 10,500 level is quite interesting because it's been reacted off many times before. So like here, it busted through here, it reacted here, here. So 10,500 is a key level. But as I said, the probabilities of this happening is close to 50-50, so I'm doing nothing. What kind of time frame would you reckon it's possible with Bitcoin to raise to the new highs? It really depends what the stock market is doing. It really does. So if we look at the mothership, the S&P 500, yeah, as you can see, I've drawn two vertical lines here, which is what I call game time. And game time is most crashes happen around October time, and also this line here is the Trump election, so around November. So I can't see Trump letting the market capitulate until he's out of office, or back in, I don't know. So really, I can't see the market crashing until, you know, August, September time. So I'm actually bullish at the moment. But I mentioned this, I showed it in a previous video. This, may as well do it again because not everyone watches everything. 1929 macro crash zones, yeah, here. So history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes really freaking well. And this is the 1929 Great Crash. And we had this massive shock to the system. And guess when QE was invented? It wasn't invented in 2008. QE was invented during the Great Depression. And so what happened is that the policymakers were, shit the bed, we need to pump the markets up. They came up with QE. And they then created a 6-month rally. Like a proper suckers rally. And then we had a 2-year crash. And from top of drop to bottom of drop is a 87% crash. Right? So let's just take a little screenshot. Come on, where is it? Screenshot. Come on. It's not showing me. Anyway, so come on. Sorry, I've got too many tabs open and I can't see anything. Oops, that's my family. Here it is. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. So if we just do this, and then we look at this. In fact, let's just go to the Dow Jones to keep it all similar. There we go. So obviously my chart looks a bit messy at the moment, but we've had the same crash. So I'll get my annotator out. Orange we'll use. Yeah, so we had the same sort of a shock to the system, which is this shock here. And then, I mean, remember, the public has such a short memory. Like, all it takes is a couple of months of rallying stocks, and everyone thinks the market, you know, the world's going back to normal. Well, here was a 6-month rally until the top of the second drop here. And what have we had so far? We've had the March low, and it's been a few months, and we've had this big old rally upwards. I still think there's more to come, but people are oblivious. We're going to have some sort of topping pattern, and then it's game over. So yeah, and so this is going to roll over at some point. I don't know when, but I'm pretty 100% pretty 100% sure. So yeah, it's going to take out this low, and when that happens, it's game time, baby. So let's go back to the chat box. Right. What kind of time frame? Sorry, we've done that. Still mostly in ONT. Should I hold for now? Yeah, hold. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt if you're in it. When do you think you'll be able to borrow against crypto assets? It's when it gets mainstream. At the moment, it isn't mainstream. Like, it's interesting because all the banks are like, crypto's illegal, you shouldn't do it, it's really bad. And guess what's happening now? All the big banks are gone, oh, actually, we're going to start selling crypto now. JP Morgan is the biggest hypocrite out there. they're all building their own cryptos and they're now starting to sell it. And Intercontinental Exchange, which is the company that owns the Chicago Board of Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, all that, is a big company that owns a lot of the stock markets around the US and commodity markets. They're now going to start selling crypto on the NASDAQ, I believe. Yeah, so we're a long way away from mainstream, and when it goes mainstream, expect another hype cycle, and that's, yeah. I guess another good time to sell, or a good indicator to sell, is when, you know, every man and his dog or every taxi driver is going, oh, you need to buy Bitcoin now. Yeah, then get out. So, not Coinbase Pro. Yeah, if you want. I'm not fussed. I'm just I'm comfortable with Kraken. There's no point moving around. Got to go now. Catching YouTube. Yeah, cool. Well, any other questions before we call it for a day? We've covered quite a lot in 2 hours. I'd still recommend, if you're new, watching the free crypto videos that I've put out. You'll learn a lot. Any questions? Thoughts on ADA? I like ADA. I'm a big fan on Mr. Wilkinson. So ADA USDT. Oh, US, sorry. Cardano has had, yeah, big shoot up recently. So, yeah, it's a good project. So, not Wilkinson, Hoskinson, sorry. Idiot. Yeah, Mr. Charles Hoskinson, he's a good guy running the Cardano project. And he's in this for long term. He's not in this for hype cycles and short-term punts, etc. So he's building a project which is going to last. That's, like, when I say I'm going to, over here, if we zoom into this bit here, that 25% pop, some of that will be in Cardano, but I do like that. Profits, where to store them? Haha, good question, Damien. So that is actually a really good question, because let's say magic wand time, we're now sat here flushed with our profits. What the hell do you do with your profits? So personally, for me, as I said, here's my, in a nutshell, this is what I do with my own wealth. When I've got a whole bunch of crypto profits, whether I borrow from it or whatever, let's say I crystallize the money, whether I borrow from it or I sell it, doesn't matter. All I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start expanding my business ecosystem. So I'll end up, just buying more businesses, or just scaling the existing businesses I've got. So yeah, I just want to put it in there. I mean, just look at every billionaire on the planet. They became billionaires through business. So don't try and buck the trend. You're not going to become a crypto billionaire. Let's get that out of your heads right now. I don't want to wee all over your dreams, but I'm just being realistic. It's not going to happen. Not unless you're starting off with, £1 million worth of Bitcoin. So you're not going to be a billionaire. You could easily become a millionaire, pretty easily. I mean, hell, I turned $25,000 into 1.1 million in a short period of time. So, I mean, being a millionaire, but lasting wealth, I mean, is really, you need cash flow. That's the thing. Cash flow is the most important thing. So I would really, whilst you're doing all of this, in parallel, start getting into business. I really would. So that's personally what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be bulking up my cash flow. So yeah. I can't believe you're not adding Doge to your portfolio. Only if Elon Musk becomes the new the chairman of it again. Regarding skimming off. Oh, profits where to store them. Yeah, I'd only skim off profit. Oh yeah, so when I'm skimming it off, let's say. So going back to the question wherever the doodles are gone. Let's say I get back to cash. I'd only skim off, and I'd probably put them into other assets, because I want to hold Tesla for a long term. So any profits I do skim off, it'll either be for buying more assets, or I want a lot of land. So yeah, land is here as well. Not necessarily property. I want land, Tesla, and businesses really. Siam's not a crypto related question. Which bank do you recommend for business account, please? Oh man, that's a good question. I hate my I've used a lot of them. They're all shit. I think all the mainstream ones are shit. most of my accounts with Santander. I'm not happy with them either. So I guess, I mean, I'm in the process of moving to Tide and Starling. So I can't, I mean, I hear good reviews, but I think...
I'm on Starling with my business account and they're really good.
Yeah. So they still haven't got back to me.
I'll do everything for you. I was literally set up in a day and they transferred all my direct debits, all my regular payments. They did everything.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's whatever is best for user experience. All banks are shit. You just got to pick the best of a bad bunch. It's like, do you prefer gonorrhea or syphilis or Ebola? Yeah, I'll take syphilis, please. Over Ebola. They're all shit. Sorry, it's not the best analogy, is it? What was I saying? Amanda, Binance Coin. I got very cheap, but has got a great exchange to Ether. Cool. Would you sell Ether or keep... Okay, that's a good question. So this is Ether to, or BNB to Ether, I guess. BNB to Ether. So, interesting. So actually, Binance is actually quite strong against Ether. Look, it starts off here and it's taken all this way from Ether. So,
I think BNB is only going to get stronger because every month they do a token burn, so the supply is always going down. Yeah.
And also, when the hype cycle comes back, let's say, you know, the general public, even a small percentage of the general public in the Western world starts buying crypto, like where are they going to go? They're going to go to Coinbase and Binance primarily. Kraken's not one of the big ones. I mean, it is a big one, but it's not one of the main ones. People tend to flock to Binance and Coinbase. So as Binance goes up, BNB is going to also go up. So if you got in very cheap, yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to stay in Binance. As I said, everyone's different. Just like here, all of us have different personal finances and investments and methods. Like I put all my money into business really. So, but everyone's different. So yeah, stay in BNB coin if you wish. Joe, what are my thoughts on Ripple? This is where I piss off 50% of all YouTube viewers that eventually watch this. Ripple is a piece of crock. It's a con. Let's leave it at that. Lloyd's is decent. Thanks. So I'm Habib. Gotta go. Cool. Is it better to be in BNB than USDT? I would agree. Oh, yeah. It depends what your time frame is. So whenever someone asks, you know, when will this happen or what, like, time frame is crucial. So if it's going to be short term, I mean, hell, Tether's... it's a tough one. Like, for example, I would not leave any amount of money in Tether for more than a day. If I'm quickly sidestepping, I may do it. But to leave it, you know, for a number of days or a number of weeks, definitely not Tether. So yeah, Binance coin. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks, Michael. Any other questions? Hell, it doesn't need to be crypto. I'm an open book. Hit me with any question. Investing, money, business, whatever. No? Okay. Right. Okay. If I was to choose one altcoin for the moment, what would it be? Oof. I would say a privacy coin, actually. Oh, there's so many to choose. Like, again, it all goes back to the sectors. Like, there are lots of really great coins in every different sector. So, for example, I love Ontology. Ontology is a great coin out there. So that's ONT. So, in fact, let's look at... I like Energy Coin. Like, I think Tesla's building their whole distributed energy grid on Energy Coin. Energy Web, sorry, I think. But yeah, so Cardano is great. EOS, I don't really like EOS, but it's got massive backers. Like, I mean, in this subdued market, it's got $2.5 billion in it, but it's got massive backers behind it. And the fact it's got so many big backers, Chainlink is good. Stellar, yeah, it's alright. like VeChain, like there's so many good projects, and this is why I end up with like 50 odd coins, because there's so many good ones out there. So if it was just one, like personally, we are moving into a world of less civil liberties, privacy's going out the window. There's all sorts of things like that. So a privacy coin like Monero, I don't even know what it will do well, because Monero is, I guess, the most famous privacy coin out there, and you can hide your transactions. All the drug lords and criminals will go to privacy coin. So that, I mean, it's just going to go. It's going to boost. Yeah, especially when they start bringing out like sovereign cryptos, like crypto pound. They won't call it crypto pound. They'll call it digi sterling or digi pound or something. Or in fact, they'll just call it pound, but they just won't. But actually, it'll be digital, and no one will know. Well, not many people. So, cool. Thanks, Dieter. What is the probability of US oil pulling back to resistance line today? Let's have a look at oil. Oh, God, it's got a low test there. So I guess you're looking at the $41 level, if you're saying the resistance. Yeah, I guess all that's happened is just bouncing off that 21 EMA. It's almost posting in a low test candle there. So yeah, it's quite probable. At some point, oil's got to roll over. Oil is so screwed, it's ridiculous. But it is smothering this level here. Anyway, from Stu, hi Siam, how do you choose businesses to invest in? Already doing well or a challenge that you... okay, so this is a massive question. Basically, the question is this, for those that can't see. How do you choose your business to invest in? I'm already doing well or a challenge that you see potential in? This itself is like a 5-hour webinar. Like, it's ridiculous. Between 2017 and 2019, I bought something like 15 businesses, and I highly recommend that you don't do the same. I've learnt so much in mergers and acquisitions that, like, I've been through the mill. There's still one guy that owes best part of 400 grand now. So yeah, for me, definitely 100% stay away from distressed businesses. Distressed businesses are screwed for a reason, because they're screwed. They're distressed for a reason because they're screwed. I wouldn't get into M&A unless you're already in business and you know what you're doing in business. I guess in hindsight, a good benchmark is that I wouldn't even look at buying other businesses or bolting on other businesses until you have a business that's chucking out at least 15-20 grand a month profit, or EBITDAC, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization, and coronavirus. So So, thoughts on Crypto.com and their earn function? I have no idea. I don't even know about it. And here's the thing. Habib can probably attest to this. Like, if you try and keep up to date with everything that's happening in the crypto space, that's a full-time job. You will spend every waking hour of the day seeing, oh, this is new, this is new, this is new, oh, and this is gone, this is gone, this is gone. Like, you'll end up just filling up your mind with nonsense. So I take a more laid-back approach, because I know that projects will come and go, and I will only pay attention to things that will, that have lasted a bit. So, yeah. When you say land, what do you mean? Farmland, development land, and what is the purpose of buying land? It's a good question, Joe. So for me, I simply follow. I'm nothing special. To put this in perspective, I'm a simple Norwich boy, born and bred in Norwich. I know nothing. I've done all right for myself. I've been in business for 9 years, and I've gone from broke to being a millionaire it took me 7 years. So I'm happy with, I guess, the cadence of how I'm doing, but I'm not fooling myself one bit that, I'm anywhere near the likes of Elon Musk. I'm nowhere near his league. He's an alien compared to me. So everyone, there's a long way to go. Like, even if you're worth £20 million, you still got a long way to go, to getting to the next level. So it's all about the different levels. So for me, I'm not I don't try and fool myself into thinking I know more than everyone else. I'm not trying to rewrite the rule book. So when that's why I'm a historian of money, and I always look at what the successful do. And when you look at the history of money, one of the things that you'll come across is the Colonna family. So they're not that public, which is also a reason, something which fascinates me about them. No one's really heard of the Colonna family, but they are the oldest billionaires on the planet. So Dieter, Goldland Art. So the Colonna family, they've been relative billionaires for over 900 years. So that means they've maintained their billionaire status through World War I and II, the Black Death, probably the Knights Templar. Oh, no, my history. I'm good at money history, but not normal history. But they've been through everything. They've been through coronavirus. They've been through everything, and they're still billionaires. And it's really simple. They basically say the way that they store their wealth is a third, a third, a third. Okay, so they basically say store your wealth or harbour your wealth in things that last. And so do stocks last? Nope. Bonds? Nope. Houses? Nope. Commercial property? Nope. Bitcoin? It's only got a 10-year track record, so technically no. So they say land, bullion, investment grade bullion, by the way, so it needs to be minimum 99.99% pure, and museum quality art. That is what they have harboured their wealth in, and throughout the ages that's what they've done. So so for me, I guess I'm not going to question. I mean, there's so many billionaire families that have been billionaires for maybe 5 or 10 years, and they lose it all. I mean, just look at the Vanderbilt family. They literally shat the bed through gambling. So for me, I guess I'm just going to copy these guys and girls and have, I guess, the bulk of it in here. But I think, and for cash flow, I've got my businesses. So I guess on top, I'll have my biz empire. And when I say empire, I'm not being braggy. I mean, it will be a handful of businesses. So for me personally, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I like having the ability to do things, okay? So when I say ability to do things, I don't like people saying, oh no, you can't do that, or I can't do that because I can't do this. So when I say my biz empire, my goal, and I'm not that far away from getting it, but is that I've had this goal for a while, is that I want a marketing business, an accounting firm, a law firm, a debt collection firm, a construction firm, a tech firm, and that's where the real fun will be in my tech firm. What is it? So debt collection, my own bank. Well, when I say my own bank, I'm not talking about a normal bank. In fact, I'm going to shut up about that. I've got some silly plans over here. And what is it? Private equity firm. So when you have all of these businesses, so marketing, accounting, finance, everything, what that will enable me to do is to then go out and gobble up businesses. So if I go out and buy another business, I can then go, hey, I'll then simply parachute. Oh, that's a parachute. I'll parachute my business group into this new business and pimp it out. So my marketers will market it up. I'll have my accountants, so I know I'm not going wrong. So I'll be able to do everything possible in the business scene, and they'll all be talking to each other, etc., etc. So that's my goal. That's my little thing that I'm going to be doing. Stephen, how do I know that? It's been in books. Yeah. About the Colonna family, yeah. Jim Rickard's put it in one of his books, actually. So, was it Dr. Michael Burry who's now investing in land with water supplies? Yes. Michael Burry is the drummer guy in The Big Short, if you've seen that film. Even better if you've read the book. Read the book, it's better than the film. Yeah, shitting their beds. Yeah, the Vanderbilts, they went from billionaire status to not barely millionaire status. So, yeah. What tends to happen is that some generations they just blow. What? First generation builds it. Second generation grows it. Third generation blows it. I think that's the old saying. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think it's time to call it a bed there. Call it a bed? Call it a day. And I will see you all soon. Thanks for everyone that's here. Geez, there's still 39 of you here, so thank you. Yeah, and like, I cannot mention enough, like, just keep in touch with my YouTube videos because I'm always putting stuff out there, and definitely watch that Macrometrics 1 video. And I'm always putting out other Macrometrics videos. But yeah. Well, toodaloo. Have a good one.
Thanks, Siam.
See ya. Bye bye.